Hi friends, welcome back to playing tribute to Apollo Justice Ace Attorney, where we are on my favorite case of the game, Turnabout Serenade, Part 2. Day 2, the trial. As we are defending the little Borginese boy, Borginian boy. The language is Borginese, the people are Borginian. I don't know why it's different like that. But yeah, it's rough going for him. I think he's like 14. I didn't go into the court record while I was doing part 1, but I believe he is 14. And we can't understand a word he's saying. And he can't understand a word we're saying. But he requested our help. I don't know how he managed to do that. Knew anything about us or managed to request us not being able to speak English. I don't know. There's no interpreter or anything. It's rough. We're just gonna go in, and we're gonna hope for the best. It looks like we're straight in the courtroom, too. It's not like we can talk to anybody in the defendant lobby, I suppose. A court is now in session for... how do I say that? Machita Bai, Your Honor. The pixie of the arpeggio. Right, his trial. Court is in session. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is A-OK here, Judge. Very well, Prosecutor Gavin. My opening statement, yeah? No, actually, there was something else I wanted to ask you about. Yes? So you're going to visit someone in the hospital with an incurable disease. What do you say to them? I mean, you wouldn't say, get well soon, right? You'd only be kicking them when they're down. What are you talking about? I'm actually going to visit someone who is terminally ill. Right after this trial. The Chief Justice's son. The Chief Justice? His son is afflicted with the most terrible disease. He doesn't have long, it seems. So I thought I'd go pay him a visit. I thought saying something moving might be the order of the day. Why don't grown-ups ever just say what's on their mind instead of pretending? She's looking at me with something like disgust. Hey, what are you looking at me like that for? In any case, that, I guess, was important, but why was that important? Huh. Interesting. I'll keep that in mind. I'm a bit busy today, so let's wrap this up quickly. Prosecutor Gavin, your opening statement, briefly. You're in luck here, Judge. I believe you'll be going on to your hospital visit sooner than you think. First, to review the victim of this case. Romain Lithouse, age 35. The global manager for Diva songstress L'Aurore. The cause of death, blood loss due to being shot by a large-caliber revolver. This report has all the details. The court accepts this into evidence. 45 caliber, that's quite large, isn't it? A direct hit from that could knock a man off his feet. However, the bullet struck him in his shoulder. The damage to the body was slight. Death was not immediate. Sadly, his blood loss was such that he could not be saved. I suppose the victim's condition could have been much worse, considering. 2 shots were fired. 1 shot missed, the other penetrated and passed through the victim's shoulder. Both bullets were found in the wall of the scene. Observe the diagram. This is where the bullets hit. I see. The court accepts this evidence. If we're talking about a 45 caliber revolver, we must assume that the killer was adept with the weapon's use. Really? Yeah, apparently weapons that size have a powerful kickback. If, say, the judge tried to fire one, it'd break every bone in his body. The defense will take more care in choosing examples. As I was saying, the victim was shot backstage in a dressing room. This dressing room has only one entrance, this door. That does seem to be the case, yes. However, there were witnesses who heard the gunshots. He's talking about you and Emma, huh? Yet, when the witnesses entered the room, it was empty, save for the victim's body, of course. That's impossible! Exactly. This murder was impossible. For all but one person. One person? That is, of course, the defendant, Machita Bai. Only this defendant could have committed the crime? But how? It's quite simple. The circumstances of the crime scene make it clear. Very well, I assume you have testimony to back up this claim. Let the witness please take the stand. Your name and profession, please. I'm a Sky. I'm a detective for the police department. I was on security detail at the concert from Horn that night. Emma seems tired, somehow. Security at the concert, you say? Some security I was couldn't even stop a murder. Now don't blame yourself. Things like this happen. I've made even bigger mistakes in my career, you know? I'm sure that makes her feel much better. I want to hear about these bigger mistakes. In any case, because you were on security detail, the crime was quickly discovered. And we were able to identify the killer. You may give the court your testimony if you would. Describe the circumstances of that day and your discovery of the crime, please. All right. The night of the murder, I was on security backstage at Prosecutor Gavin's request. Only people involved with the concert in some way were allowed backstage. At the beginning of the third set, I heard shots. I went into the room filled with blaring rock music and found the body. I examined the scene and determined that only the defendant could have done it. It was lucky that a detective was there first in the scene. That door was the only way out of the room, right? Yeah, pretty much. They don't get it. How can they say that Machi did it? Looks like we need a bit more information. Very well, the defense may begin the cross-examination. When we're looking for information, we press. We were let in, though. I didn't know about that. I certainly didn't invite you. Hi, Keith the Fraulein. Special permission to be there. I wanted to see her again. Oh boy, did you hear that? We're officially involved now. Gee, great. Some other hangers-on tried to get backstage, but I drove them off. So no other outsiders were there then. And then... I believe we were having a chat when we heard the shots. You were the one chatting. I was eating snackoos. Hey, no snacking in court. And you're sure the shots came from Lemurar's room? Yes, absolutely. Hey, I'm the one being cross-examined here. Here, this'll keep you quiet. She snackooed me again. Ha, thanks. So, how about it, Emma? We were right there. Hard to be mistaken about that. Please, either talk or please. Not both at the same time. Right, so after that, me and Mr. Lawyer there opened the dressing room door. Mr. Lawyer. I've been demoted to just Mr. Lawyer. I don't even have a name anymore. Rock. Blaring, yes. And you say rock. Are you referring, perhaps, to this rock and roll music that's so popular these days? That's right. When we went to the dressing room... I like his thinking pose. Music was blaring over the speaker on the wall. They piped sound from the stage into the backstage through speakers. That way people in the back can hear when they're supposed to be on stage. Does it have to be so loud? You don't listen to the Gavineers with your ears. You feel it with your entire body and soul. I always have the backstage monitors at full volume. When we walked in the room, the band was playing Guilty Love, I believe, making it easy to determine the time of the crime. If you could hear that music playing, then everyone on stage for that song has an alibi, including myself. Anyway, I closed off the scene and started my investigation. Right, this is where we're curious. How could you know something like that? As I said, I was clear from the circumstances. Listen. We know that there was only one exit from the room, that door. The small window only opened a tiny crack, and I was standing in front of that door. So, how could the killer have fled the scene? There's only one possibility, the air vent. But that air vent was too small. Who could possibly... Exactly. There's certainly no way you could get through, nor me. The only one who could fit through was a child. Child. Remember, access to those rooms was limited. Only those involved with the concert were allowed. And of all the people involved with the concert, Only one is small enough to be considered a child. The defendant? Right, because he is... yes, 14. The pixie of the arpeggio flitted up toward the sky and disappeared from the scene of the crime.
Objection!
But that's just conjecture. Oh, there's no other way out of that room. You were there. You should know, Hair Forehead. And there's another vital piece of evidence. Evidence? What? Marks were found in the air vent grill. Traces that it had recently been opened. What? And something else was found quite clearly. The defendant, Machi Tabayi's fingerprints. What? Order, order, order! That air vent was the only way out of the room. The defendant's fingerprints were found on the grill. Well, Hair Forehead? What fairy tale does this suggest to you? Only one could pass through that vent, that doorway to heaven. And that one is our pixie. Why are you looking at me, Apollo? Hey, I was out whooping it up in the audience. This was decisive evidence. Quite decisive indeed. I know the circumstance under which the body was found. I was there. An examination of the crime scene was enough to nail down the killer. I'm sure they have a good reason. They must have had a good reason to arrest Machi. I'm gonna find out what it was, but I already did. I guess I have to press this button too, because there's nothing that I can go against. The night of the murder was the night of the concert, yes? That's right. What was the detective doing on security detail, might I ask? If it was only a concert. My thoughts exactly. But orders are orders, even when they come from rock gods. Prosecutor Gavin? Yes, allow me to explain. I smelled something that day. You might say the stench of conspiracy. That day at the concert hall. Conspiracy? Well, isn't it obvious? My keys! The whole morning, no, the whole day was ruined. And it's all because someone stole my keys. Oh, he's... he's becoming... He's losing his cool a little bit. I couldn't ride my hog to the show. I couldn't open my guitar case. There he goes again. Isn't it possible he simply misplaced them? Misplaced them? Misplaced items don't just wander into a murder victim's hand on their own. Oh, what's this, Prosecutor Gavin? If your keys were on the victim's hand, that makes you a prime suspect. Love. Slow acting and new. Atroquinine is waiting for you. He's singing something. Does everything with this guy have to be so over the top? The killing happened in the middle of my concert. I was like a sailor, adrift on the sea of sound. Anyway, I didn't want anything else stolen. So I put the detective where I thought with the most time on their hands, on the desk. I see, I can accept that. Well, I can't. What do you mean time on their hands? I believe that's enough of that. The prosecution has a rather convincing case. The only way in and out of the crime scene was watched, making the defendant the only one who could have possibly left the scene. Simple and decisive. I believe we've heard enough to determine our verdict, even if I wasn't in a hurry to make a hospital visit. I'm sure the Chief Justice will appreciate the gesture. Unfortunately, we have no direct witnesses. Fortunately, the criminal left decisive evidence for us. That will have been enough. It can't be over already. Very well, I believe this trial is finished. Tell them about the last words. If the defense had no contradicting evidence. Prosecution has presented our proof, clear and plain. If you have contradicting evidence, it better be clear and plain. Do you have contradicting evidence? How about the fact that it was a .45 caliber gun, and he is a child? Apollo, they've got us on the ropes already. We better come up with something quick. I know. Think we can get us out of this. We need evidence or a witness that can prove Machi's innocent beyond a doubt. Without that... Mr. Justice, do you have contradicting proof that can overturn the prosecution's case? He mentioned a witness. He did say witness. He said evidence or witness. If you do, you better tell us about it now. This is it, and so soon. If I mess this one up, it's all over. The court wants contradicting proof. Prosecutor Gavin, you claim that there were no witnesses to this crime. Are you absolutely sure? Absolutely. I'd swear it on my career as a prosecutor. And on my million-seller hit song, Atroquinine, My Love. There he goes again. It's too bad, because there was a witness. Oh, really now? But how do you come to possess knowledge the prosecution clearly does not? Because I'm the only one in the world who knows this. What's going on? I just talked to him, and now... He's alive! Mr. Lithouse, can you hear me? Cold. So cold. Witness. You're cold? Don't worry, you're going to be fine. Help is on the way. I can't see. Hang in there, Mr. Lithouse. Tell me, who was the witness? The witness is a siren. What? The victim said this before he died? Perhaps he did, and perhaps he did not. What do you mean by that? All we know is what Herr Forehead said he said. It's not testimony, especially since it comes from the defense attorney himself. Objection! But it's the truth. He said it. I even told you about it. But apparently you ignored me completely. It's my policy to fully investigate everything I deem relevant. Clearly this rookie lawyer thinks he can tell me how to do my job. That's enough. Mr. Justice, we need clear contradictory proof from you. This witness of yours unknown to the prosecution. I hope you're right, but failure carries a stiff penalty. Perhaps a stiffer penalty than usual is counted for? There's no backing down. Let's hear the name of your witness, Mr. Justice. The siren of the ballad. Lemroar. Wait a second. Recall Mr. Lithouse's last words. The witness is Siren. The Siren. Ha! You meant the Siren! That's right. The Siren of the ballad. Lemroar. Lemroar was only on stage for the second set. And she's had access to the backstage area. She could have been a witness. I see. Well, Prosecutor Gavin. My claim still stands. There was no witness to this crime. Very well. Let's hear it from the horse's mouth then, shall we? We will now take a break from Detective Emma Sky's cross-examination. Please show Lemroar to the witness stand. Lemroar would say nothing the night of the murder. Not today, though. Today we'll drag that story out of her, no matter what it is. I have the, the authority to ask her now. And for the sake of her friend, Machi. So by all means, please, Lemroar, tell me what you saw. It is my distinct honor to welcome the Siren of the Ballad to our courtroom. You are too kind. You can speak English. Yes, I can. Though I'm not very good. There is much I do not know. You speak so well. Have you spent time here before? Actually, I do not know how I came by my knowledge of your language. Nor where I studied it. What does she mean she doesn't know? I, too, thought to call her as a witness, but I did not. I had a reason, of course. What's that? Lemroar suffers from amnesia. Amnesia? Lemroar is not my true name. Yet I remember nothing of the time before I was given it. Nothing of the time before I started singing on stage. Whoa, she's even more mysterious than I thought. As lauded singer Lemroar, she lives a good life. There are little difficulties for her, thanks to her success. Yet I did not wish to subject her to unnecessary stress. I see. I care surprisingly little about people's pasts. You have nothing to fear in this court, Lemroar. Thank you. Yet there is something I do not understand. I am being called as a witness, what might I say? No one will tell me anything of what happened. Oh, what might I say? No one has told me anything. Lemroar, let me be frank. I did not want to ask you up here to testify. Yet that young gentleman with the wide forehead over there was adamant that you stand. Oh, why? Congratulations, Apollo. You're the bad guy. Well, now that you're here, please give us your testimony. If nothing else, the sound of your voice is welcome. And tell us what you saw the night of the crime. As for what I saw nothing. That night I was invited to sing on stage, and this I did. I did not return backstage after the second set. Then I was led by the police to Mr. Gavin's dressing room and told to wait there. That was where I learned that something had happened, but I wasn't told the details.
I must say, you sound wonderful just testifying. I hope he was too distracted to hear what she was actually saying.
There you have it. She saw nothing that night. Now we can only pray that the defense has the sense to admit defeat, and refrain from detaining her any longer than need be.
Wow, you just got badder, Apollo. Way to go. Very well, Mr. Justice. Keep it short and sweet. Lemuror wouldn't talk to me the night of the crime. She must know something, and I've got to find out what.
Now, remember, we did see her brooch.
A safety pin. It's a danger pin? It's supposed to be stuck in your eye, then yeah, sure. She could do that with a safety pin too, for that matter. Thanks for taking the fun out of my danger pin. You driving a danger pin through my heart here.
You did not return backstage once? Where were you then? What were you doing?
I was cleaning up the stage. On stage. There are many things I must do for a performance other than simply sing. And was Machi with you at the time?
Unfortunately, I do not know where he was.
So much for an alibi for Machi. This is too blunt. You must have seen something! Mr. Lataus named you!
Mr. Lataus? How can I tell you what I don't know?
Lemuror! He said you were a witness with his dying words!
I do not know what he meant to say, but that night... I was invited to sing on stage, and this I did.
I think I have to...
Objection!
Yeah. I'm sorry, Lemuror, but I'm having trouble believing you. You remember this brooch, do you not? Why, that's Lemuror. She was wearing it for her song. Care to add that to the testimony, Prosecutor Gavin? What? This brooch was found after the murder took place. At the very scene of the crime. What? Lemuror, how did your brooch get backstage if you did not go there yourself? And, as Prosecutor Gavin has just told us, you had been wearing it during your performance that night. What is the meaning of this? Lemuror, please explain. Lemuror. She says the English is quite difficult. That trick's not going to work here. Your forehead may be large, but you are a lawyer, truly. But you have missed one important fact. What now? In fact, at the time of the incident, I went backstage, but only for a moment. What? Think back to the moment of the crime. You know whereof I speak. Is she really saying all that? Was she talking about Apollo? Right when the incident occurred. Is she talking about that? Oh, what? She was the one who slammed the door? Don't worry, you're gonna be fine. Witness is Siren. Siren is anything. Yikes. Emma, what was that? Who's there? What's wrong? Did you see anything just now? Yeah. Could have sworn I heard footsteps.
I looked into the room. Just a glance, mind you.
So this was when your brooch dropped. That explains that.
It does. There was no other time I could have dropped it.
That's ridiculous! You only looked in for an instance, but you dropped your brooch. Hair forehead.
She has raised a possibility. The only thing that can counter that is evidence. So she looked in at the crime scene. Actually, I intended to go into the dressing room. I knew nothing of what happened, of course. But the moment I opened the door, I heard a horrible voice. Hair Forehead shouting, "Who's there?" no doubt. A horrible voice indeed. I closed the door immediately. Well, that explains the brooch. Let's return to your testimony. That's too convenient. She's hiding something. Lemuror, you did look into the room, though, right? Yes. Testify to what you saw. Very well, though it was only the briefest of glimpses. Oh, I was like, oh, I'm gonna present the diagram and say it was behind a wall and she couldn't have possibly seen it. But she's got it. But my bracelet seems to be reacting to something. So let's press and see what we can get here. A wall. Was there a wall there? It's what, in English? Division, or partition, I believe. There was a large dressing room divided by two halves. Oh, sorry, that's Clavier. It was a large dressing room, divided into two halves. And the murder took place in the inside half. I guess that partition might have hidden the body. But my bracelet is reacting to you, woman. So what do I see? I can only really look at her face. Oh, hello. She stopped enunciating her words. I think she's biting her lips.
Gotcha!
I was only looking at her face because, her hands are way down here. The late Mr. Littause's body, you say? Yes. You know something more about Mr. Littause's death than you are saying. What? I could see you trying not to remember, but the effort made you swallow. You can't fool my eyes. It is true. It was so terrible after all. Why did Mr. Littause have to be shot? One moment, Lemuror. Yes? What was that you just said? Why did Mr. Littause have to be shot? Yes? She was hiding something. I knew it! Lemuror, I'm afraid you haven't realized it, but your words just now contradict your testimony. How could that be? Take this. Lemuror contradicted her own testimony, and I have the evidence to prove it. She knew he had been shot.
Take that!
Tell me, Lemuror, how did you know he had been shot? Immediately following the incident, a gag order was placed on the scene. This is the document proving that. In your testimony, you told the court, "No one told me anything about the incident." Furthermore, you testified that you had seen nothing. Yet you knew that Mr. Littause had been shot. How could you have known? Ooh, that gotcha came with evidence to show. Lemuror! You aren't hiding something from this court, I hope. That sweet song of hers was sounding a little too sweet. Now I remember. Please allow me to add to my testimony. Of course. All we want to know is the truth. She looks kind of pale, huh? She saw something, I know it. Even the victim said so. No, you didn't. The door opens the wrong way, friend.
Objection!
You're not gonna squeeze by that quickly. Lemuror, they call you the Siren of the Ballad. But lies are hardly becoming of such a creature. A put-down worthy of our prosecutor, Mr. Justice. Such put-downs are hardly becoming of you, Apollo. Stop polishing your forehead and start polishing your character, yeah? Come on, can I be cool for once? Observe the diagram. Lemuror, you looked in from the door for just a moment, correct?
Yes, that is so. There were bullet holes in the room, yes. But they were on the wall the door was on. You see, assuming you merely glanced into the room, you couldn't have seen those bullet holes. Lemon. Yes? I'm afraid the defense has raised a good point. It appears you have been holding back something. And I must tell you? I must tell you what it is that I saw? Yes. The happenings in this trial are being recorded. And I'm certain it will be on the news in Virginia. You understand your reputation is at stake. It falls on you to avoid tarnishing it. Personally speaking, I still believe that cross-examining her will yield us absolutely nothing. But she knew how Mr. Litthouse died, and he named her as a witness. You must have seen something, Lemuror. Very well, Lemuror, please continue your testimony. It's the same testimony? Oh no, okay, it's a new one. I was on my way from the stage to the backstage exit. There was something like a little window there, that's how I saw it. There were 2 shots. I couldn't do anything to stop it. But it wasn't Machi. It was a grown person. I know it was. So you did witness the crime. And the killer was a grown person, you say? Ugh, this is my first time hearing this, I assure you. Nice play, Hair Forehead. Very well, Mr. Justice, you may begin your cross-examination. Great going, Apollo. You were right about Lemuror. What's wrong? You don't look too happy. This whole thing smells fishy. That's what's wrong. Yeah, such as, why didn't she say that before? She had no reason to lie. What exactly is something like a little window? Yes, well, window is the best word I know in English. I think it is how it's said, yes? You need not worry, Lemuror. Your choice of words is impeccable. There's a small window in the dressing room in question. Perhaps the defense remembers this detail. A little window on the wall? I saw the crime from there. That hesitation was very telling.
Hold it!
You are certain you heard 2 shots fired? Yes, quite certain. I was on my way to the backstage exit. This was when I heard a faint sound, like a gunshot. Wondering what it had been, I peered through the window. That is when I heard the second gunshot, much closer. And there were 2 bullet holes at the scene. No contradiction so far. It all happened on the other side of that window. There was nothing I could do. Are we gonna not mention the fact that the brooch was found elsewhere?
Hold it!
It wasn't Machi who shot. Are you sure? Yes, quite certain. It amuses me that you would question her testimony. It is testimony in your favor, isn't it my job to object? Yeah, Apollo, what were you thinking? Trucy, let's just listen to what Lemuror has to say. Can you tell me how you were so sure? Yes, of course. You see...
Hold it!
A grown person. That's a little vague. I'm sorry. My skill with your language is lacking, I know.
Certainly you can at least see whether the shooter was male or female.
It was a man. A young man.
And you're sure of that?
Yes, his voice is quite clear.
Voice? Looking at the diagram, seems to me the dressing room was quite cluttered. It does seem likely that you wouldn't have had a clear view of the shooter.
As a singer, I rely more on my ears than my eyes. When I hear a voice, I do not forget it. And that voice was the voice of a man.
So you heard a voice, but wait. Couldn't that have been the victim, Mr. Litthouse?
Absolutely not. Did I not just say I do not forget a voice? If it was Mr. Litthouse who spoke, I would have known.
Indeed. So you were at the window and you heard the shooter's voice, the voice of a young man.
Apollo, this is a good testimony. That proves it wasn't Machi.
Indeed. If this turns out to be true, it would cast this case in a considerably different light. What is the defense's opinion of this testimony?
weird. I'm still uncertain about the brooch. Because the brooch was found by the bullet holes. I feel like we've lost our... Though it pains me to say this, there's something about Lamroar's testimony that rings false. Bravo, Hair Forehead. You're colder than I thought. I'm sure you remember what the problem is as well as I do, Gavin. As has been established, no grown man could pass through that air vent. He couldn't have fled the scene of the crime. But that means Lamroar has to be lying. I know, and I know it's bad for our case, but I can't shut my eyes to this. Believe me, the idea was tempting. It is as Hair Forehead says. Yet this is not the only contradiction within her testimony. What's next? What's he talking about? Lamroar, I understand why you would want to protect Machi. Yet remember, you are the siren of the ballad. And lies do not become such a creature. What does the prosecution mean? Apollo, what's he talking about? How come no one bats an eye when he says stuff like that? I recall the state of the crime scene quite well. The state of the room? Yes, and when the murder took place. That window was closed. I find it hard to believe you could hear a voice through it. What? But I'm sure... Lamroar. I have nothing but the highest regard for your musical sense. But my opinion of you as a witness is somewhat lesser. Objection! But she's the only eyewitness we have. Objection! So you say. And the victim named her, the siren, as the witness. That's right, that's what Mr. Lataus... We heard your claim. We even entertained the possibility, and it brought us to this. Herr Judge. Yes. The prosecution requests that the witness be excused. Please. I'm afraid I must honor the prosecution's request. There is indeed a question of the witness's credibility. But Lamroar can't testify. And we don't have a chance of proving Machi's innocence. This cross-examination is over. Prosecutor Gavin, you may continue making your case. Danke. Danke. I don't know. Why am I butchering the German words? I know German. Danke. Now, where were we? Oh yes, I would like to hear from Fraulein Detective again. Objection! Wait! Let me hear Lamroar's testimony one last time. The cross-examination is already over. Until such time as need arises, this witness may leave the stand. I'm sorry I could not be more assistance. At last, back to the real trial. Ready, Hair Forehead? I just missed my only chance. Fraulein Detective, how far had we gotten until we were so rudely interrupted? Don't ask me. I just like saying the same thing twice. And I never repeat a song for another. If you would, Miss Guy. I believe I was saying that the only way Mr. Lataus' killer could have escaped was through that air vent in the ceiling. Yes, there's only one door. And a witness, you, is standing in front of it. That air vent isn't very big, see? Kind of limits the people who could possibly get through. I certainly would have a difficult time. You sure would. Not that you would have been there in the first place, though. Remember, the whole backstage area was off limits to people not involved with the concert. The only one who meets the conditions for our killer is the defendant. A virtuoso performance. I could not have put it better myself. And she does state a clear case. Though reading the reports, something caught my eye. Oh, what's that? The circumstances of the defendant's arrest. Circumstances? Again? Hey, that's right, Apollo! Remember when we found Machi? That was bizarre. She's right. Why did Mr. Lataus' body disappear from the room? And end up on top of that stage tower? Holding a guitar, no less. A perceptive observation here, Judge. Thanks. That was kind of an accident, really. But you work in this job long enough. You get a nose for things. The judge sure seems pleased with himself. Very good, Fraulein Detective. Perhaps you can tie it all together for us? Why was the body moved? And how does it lead us to the killer? I believe Machi stole the body because of some lyrics. He moved the body to match Lamroar's song. No one in this country had a motive to kill the victim, and Machi practically left his signature at the scene. All of this evidence clearly points to the defendant. Lemroar's song? Yes, the guitar serenade. You noticed its code, too, did you not? It's code. All the events that day followed the lyrics to our song. First, the keys my heart held onto so tightly were stolen. Then Prosecutor Gavin's guitar burst into flames on stage. Mr. Littau's life was taken by a bullet. The rest hardly needs explanation. Guitar, up together to the sky.
That's mad! It's like a story out of some fairy tale.
I keep talking about fairy tales in this case. I admit I'd forgotten about that song. But there it is now, waiting for me. The grand finale, as it were. Hey, you know I was the one who first noticed that.
I've heard of jumping rope to songs, counting to songs. But killing?
It's a wild world out there, Herr Judge.
Very well. We've heard one song and dance. Now let's get on to the next, the cross-examination.
I'm not so sure I'm going to be doing much singing. Chords of steel, Apollo. Let's do it. Come on, man. Confidence. Press everything. We've learned from last time we have to press everything that she says. Who would steal a body just to match some lyrics? I didn't believe it myself, but it can't just be a coincidence. It says, Fraulein Detective says. Let us begin with the first verse, if you would, Fraulein Detective. What? You want me to sing it? You are the witness, yeah? Or did you want me to sing? I warn you, my fee as a vocalist is not trivial. Fine, fine. Let's look at the first part of the lyric, shall we? Pull away the keys my heart held on to so tight. Oh, here it is. When you stole away the keys my heart held on to so tight. Indeed. My favorite heart-shaped key ring was stolen that morning. Next, we go to the right page of the lyrics sheet, where we find... Oh, hold on, it's coming. Wait for it. Why am I doing this to myself? Something through the air I fly. Burning on in my heart fire. Burn my love away, fall away. As we know, Prosecutor Gavin's guitar bursts into flame. Like a bullet of love fire. Take my life away, all away. Mr. Littau's life was taken by a bullet. Bravo, Fraulein Detective. Your singing was not bad. Now for the finale. Guitar, up together to the sky. As it says in the lyrics, Mr. Littau was found with a guitar high in the sky over the stage. No series of coincidences could be so well conceived. He's right, scientifically speaking. What would Waki have said? That concert was whack. It's hard to argue when she pours her heart into it like that. Anyway, the shooter... Does the prosecution have any idea why he'd do all this? You want my scientific opinion? No clue. But he clearly had reason to go through all that trouble. Some deep reason. A deep reason? And not only did he steal my keys, he torched my guitar. Unforgivable acts even if he had a reason. And verse if he had none. The diva's complaints aside, I can't imagine someone doing this just on the whim. Fraulein Detective, I take offense at that description.
Indeed, it does seem too well rehearsed, shall we say.
Yes, this crime was planned for sure. But Mr. Littau spoke English. He might have come to this country before. And looked into that, I assure you. Oh. It was his first time in the country, it seems. Apparently, he learned English on his own. Great. You see? No one here had a motive to kill him, and certainly not in such an elaborate fashion. It does seem difficult to imagine. Unless our famous prosecutor did it as publicity stunt. What did you say? Prosecutor Gavin, you did this to promote your song? Of course not, and I am quite dismayed by the ludicrous nature of her claim. Why would I need a promotion? Everyone already listens to my music. They're even in my textbook at school. And I'd never heard of them. What does that say about me? I was just kidding. Don't get all worked up, Glimmer Boy. What's this about leaving a signature at the scene? What do you mean by signature? The bullet holes in the wall, of course? The bullet holes? The revolver was fired twice. One shot missed and left a hole in the wall. And that means what exactly? That dressing room isn't exactly spacious. Picture the shooter facing off with the victim in there. They can't have been more than 5 feet apart. It would be difficult, almost impossible to miss at that range. Difficult to miss, you say? Very. Assuming the shooter could properly aim. You can't be serious. Machi, he can't see. That's why he missed. It's the only explanation that makes sense. He used sound and other senses to fire the gun. Poorly. That reminds me, the monitor in that room was blaring at the time, y'all. Hardly ideal conditions for tracking by sound. Blind shooter. Oh, what have you missed? I knew this bullet would come back to haunt me. Think, Justice, what do I do now? Objection! Sure, there would be bullet holes left in the wall. But that doesn't prove the shooter couldn't see. Oh, how so? Oh, well, there could have been a struggle with the victim. That's certainly possible. And it might have been the revolver's fault. The revolver? The revolver was a very large caliber, correct? If the shooter was used to firing such a large weapon, why, it could dislocate their shoulder. Exactly. The defendant, Machi Tabai, is, as you can see, tiny. It's not so hard to picture him firing a gun and missing entirely. Wait, why are we still saying that he's the one who shot? The kickback alone would throw us off his aim. You're not helping, Apollo. A convincing argument, to be sure. Haha, take that, smug prosecution. Apollo? Oh, what? That bit about Machi being tiny? And the gun throwing off his aim? Aren't you kind of admitting that he did it? Oh. It does not matter why he missed. What matters is that the shooter was, without a doubt, the defendant. Even the defense seems to agree on that point. What? Yeah. Cripes, I really gotta put my foot in my mouth this time. But let's get the facts of the matter in the record. If you would, Fraulein Detective. Very well, the witness will add this to her testimony. Right. I don't like it. You can't say he was blind just because of those bullet holes on the wall. I think I've proven that. I wouldn't call it proof, per se. Huh? You merely raised a possibility. The Fraulein Detective has made a most logical conjecture based on the evidence. Alright, I need proof that he wasn't blind. Right now I'm thinking this, like, wiped up blood stain that says a name. Because if he was, like, why would they wipe it up? Why would they know it was there if they were blind? Of course, there is more evidence than just a bullet hole. The defendant was the only one who could have escaped through the air vent. So you keep saying. But wait, if he was blind, how would he know about the air vent in the first place? Oh, very good point. Well, Fraulein Detective, if you would care to explain? He certainly seems sure of himself. Recall the crime scene, if you would. There was a stepladder below the air vents. As it happens, maintenance was scheduled for that day. Custodial staff went around checking all the air vents. I don't believe it. Everyone backstage was told about the maintenance, including Machi Tabai. You would have known that there would be a way out at the top of that stepladder. But why is this the first time I'm hearing about this? Could have figured it out for yourself. You only needed to consider what the stepladder was doing there. I mean, we did question. Looks like the defense objection has been squished by a stepladder. Well, Hair Forehead, out of ammunition, perhaps. I've never seen Prosecutor Gavin so aggressive. Maybe he's caught the scent of blood. Apollo, don't you have something? Anything? You know what we need? We need something to prove the killer could see. And that'll put him in his place. Proving the shooter was sighted would do it. And that would take down one of their central points. Do you have any evidence that can prove that, though? Maybe? Fine, I accept the prosecution's challenge. As I knew you would, Hair Forehead. What exactly am I up against here? The prosecution is saying the shooter missed because he or she couldn't see. Therefore, Machi, who's blind, did it. The defense will please present their evidence. Evidence that overturns the prosecution's claim that the shooter couldn't see. Okay. This is that evidence. The photograph of the crime scene? I don't care much for the smirk on Prosecutor Gavin's face, but this is no time to think twice. Time to press on. Yes, Your Honor, the crime scene. There is something in here that decisively contradicts the prosecution's point. And perhaps you'd best show us this something. Get your finger out of the breeze and put it to good use, yeah? Very well, show us what you're talking about, Mr. Justice. The contradiction at the scene of the crime is... The contradiction is right here. The smeared bloodstains? I thought it was just my blurry vision. But really, it was blurry. And the way the victim's hand is raised above his head. Much like a gesture I've seen many times in this court. It's almost as if he wrote something. Aha! I get it. At least I think I get it. Get what, Fraulein? When Mr. Lithouse was shot, he tried to write something. And what would he write but the shooter's name? And what would he write it in but his own blood? Pretty good, huh? Thanks for making my point for me. But wait, didn't he not know who killed him? Because he said he didn't see him? Or he didn't know, or something? Because whenever we asked, like, who killed you? He said, I don't know, but there's a witness. Yes, in fact, that's what I think happened here. That does seem to be a distinct possibility. The victim wrote the killer's name. It's certainly a logical conclusion. Drat, I just wish it wasn't all rubbed out like that. Of course it's rubbed out. Why, if I were the killer, I certainly wouldn't want to leave my own name behind. Neither would I. No one has anything else to say? About what? So the prosecution accepts this. You agree this was the victim making an attempt to record the name of the killer. And that the killer tried to rub the name out. What's your point? What's my point? Let me ask you this. How did the killer know the victim was writing their name? Well, Mr. Lithouse was writing something in blood. Once the killer saw what it was... Wait. Once he saw what it was? But what did you just testify to about the shooter? I said they were blind? Yet the crime scene itself contradicts that. The killer had to have been able to see. Why would they rub out the name in blood otherwise? May I remind the court that the defendant, Machi Tabai, is blind? He couldn't have been the shooter. Impossible! Order! Prosecutor Gavin, please explain to me what all this means. I mean, looking at this photo, it's quite clear that the shooter could see. Yet up until now... It seems I owe the court an apology. The Gaviniers are a band with law enforcement ties, yet a murder occurred during our concert. Apparently this caused some confusion over jurisdiction. As a result, some reports were not filed in an entirely timely manner. I'm not sure I like the vibe I'm getting here. Hey, Apollo, look at him. Why is Prosecutor Gavin all relaxed and smiling like that? Like he knows something we don't? And he's about to tell us? I've got an idea. Let's rock. With these documents. But before that, I have a question for the Fraulein detective. If I may. What? Tell me. Why do you think that Machi Tabai is blind? What did he say? What are you saying? Of course he's blind. Of course. He's the blind pianist, right? So he's... Doesn't Lemuror lead him around by the hand all the time? No way. I have a report here on the defendant, Machi Tabai. According to this, Machi Tabai can see perfectly well. What? His blindness was merely a publicity ploy by those clever Virginians. He can see quite well.
Objection!
But you said... What did I say exactly? Here, forehead. Not once in the course of this trial have I claimed the defendant was blind. The only one who did was Fraulein Detective. But that's... A significant fact, yes. Consider Machi Tabai sees, and he was the only one who could have fled through the air vent. I see no problems with this. What about the bullet holes in the wall? Yes, the bullet holes. I believe Herr Forehead neatly explained those for us. He didn't miss because he couldn't see. It was the kickback from the .45 caliber revolver. A simple accident, in other words. How's that? I'm afraid your objection has just flown off for brighter skies. This is where the real fun begins, Herr Forehead. I'll show you fun, Clavier. I knew you didn't have what it took. You jerk! Yeah, you tell him, Emma. Yeah. Just what was I in here for? Comic relief? Yeah, apologize. Oh, sorry. That's no way to apologize. He's angered the Trucy now. Look out. If we can please end the bickering now. Whatever, I'm not leaving. I can't leave like this. I'll come up with some clue to solving this case if it kills me. But your testimony has already given us enough to convict the defendant. Don't say that. Ah! Aha! Aha, what? This blood stain. The criminal tried to wipe it off, right? It seems to be what happened, yeah. We might be able to find out what was really written here. Really? You could do that? That's right. With this. It's called luminol. Maybe you know of it? It's a chemical that reacts to blood. Ah, yes. Have we done those tests yet? Ha! As if I'm going to tell you. The blood stains covered a section of the carpet. In order to perform blood tests, that section was removed and submitted. Perhaps we should request it in here in court now. Carpet square. Right! Go for it, Apollo. Huh? I have to do the test? You just have to spray the luminol on it. Simple. Chemical that reacts to blood. I've heard of this somewhere. It's vaguely familiar. Yes, I believe an analysis called for. Have at it. Right, ready? It's easy as pie. Just touch the screen to spray the area. Give it a try. He has the entire quarter focused on me. Apollo, your hand's shaking. Let's do this. Are those numbers? Wow, it really works. This must be the power of science. It says IPXX314206. Is that the killer's name? Maybe it's if the killer was a robot. I have it. So what is it? I thought those letters IPXX looked familiar. It's an Interpol ID. Yeah, this is an Interpol ID number. Interpol? You mean the International Police Agency? Yes, most are undercover agents working to solve international crimes. But why would he write that number? Why would Mr. Lithouse even know a number like that? Good show, Fraulein Detective. Rock on! Your Honor, we can verify this number immediately. Darian, are you there? Come up to the witness stand. Darian, you heard what we need. Go check into this Interpol ID number. Sure thing. Give me 30 minutes. No, give me 27. Alright, dude. So specific. I'm not sure what to think of all this. Prosecution's cases are tight, or so it seems. If this number is really that of an Interpol agent. Oh, wait, I know.
What if Machi Tabai is really an undercover Interpol agent? That would be a possibility. He's 14! Possibility, yes. And one that would mark him as the killer for certain. Why did Let's House know an Interpol ID? That's what I want to know. Well, we have some time while we await Darian's report. Let's work on unraveling another mystery, shall we? A curious mystery concerning Machi Tabai. What are you talking about? Fraulein Detective, please accept my apologies. I received word that the defendant could, in fact, see just before the trial began. It seemed too much of a bother to tell you. You had me until the last bit. Does this not raise a rather straightforward question? Well, sure. Why did Machi pretend he wouldn't see? Exactly. Makes a little sense. What do you think, Hair Forehead? Me? Machi Tabai pretended he was blind. And do you know why? How could he know? Wait, Prosecutor Gavin knows why, doesn't he? He's known from the start of the trial. He's been leading us this whole time. Something wrong. Do you think perhaps this is all some kind of game? Know that the moment I heard that report, I knew why.
You are a jerk, Gavin. He's decent. He's like a decent guy. He's, looking for the truth or whatever. But he is very manipulative. And just, like, sneaky and tricky. And it's a bother, dude. I suppose people who have sold over 1 million records really are something else. What does that have to do with anything?
And there was a reason why Machi Tabai pretended to be blind. But it wasn't for his own sake. Getting the picture now? It wasn't for himself?
Oh, well, Mr. Justice. Can you present evidence that shows why the defendant had to feign blindness?
Evidence?
I don't know why I clicked that. Is not it. That's definitely not gonna help us. So here's the problem. I of course know why, because I've played this game before. But I don't know what the evidence is that I'm supposed to show. I wonder if I can say I haven't a clue. I haven't a clue. I have no idea. Hair Forehead, I'm disappointed in you. Unless you're merely feigning stupidity, yeah? Keep it up, wise guy. Recall the relationship of Lemroar and Machi Tabai. In particular, their arrangement over the years before visiting our country. Lemroar and her pianist? They would always walk together, she leading him by the hand. Even when they got on stage, she would lead him to the piano. She would walk all the way over there with him. That's right, because he was blind, or so he thought. She led him at all times, all times. All times. Yet we know now that Machi could see perfectly well. But keep up the charade. It wasn't part of their performance. There's a simpler explanation here, Judge. Machi did not need to be led by the hand at all. Which means... You don't mean... I do. It was the other way around. See, I don't know what evidence would have... Or if they would have even led me to evidence with that one. The one who needed to be led by the hand was Lemroar. What's this? So, earlier in this part, when she said she saw nothing... So you mean to say that Lemroar... she's... blind as a bat, Sir Judge. What? What? Order. This is crazy, Prosecutor Gavin. Yeah, wasn't she supposed to be the landscape painter in sound or something? Maybe the postcard was the evidence. Well, since we have her here, why not ask Lemroar herself? I believe she is still in the witness waiting room. Apollo, what does this mean for our case? Don't ask me, I had no idea she couldn't see. I hadn't even imagined it until now. Bailiff, bring in Lemroar! Lemroar, it pains me deeply to call you before us again in this way, and yet I must. Please do not be concerned on my behalf. Those eyes, she really can't see? Really? It is true. funny it is that a tiny lie born in the Virginian countryside would one day grow to entangle the entire world.
As you are.
Yes, as I mentioned before, I have no memory of the time before I became Lemuel. Now, know too that my memories begin in darkness. The word light has no meaning for Lemuel.
I see.
You may recall me saying something toward the beginning of this trial, therefore.
What's that?
I believe I said it was unfortunate this crime had no direct witnesses. Now, Lemuel, I must ask you to stand once more. Will you testify to the court about your eyes? Of course. It was never my intent to deceive any of you. May I begin, Your Honor?
Yes, of course. Though I admit I'm a little lost here.
I think we're all a bit lost here, Your Honor. I have no memory of light. I debuted in a world of darkness and sound. My producer came up with my PR line before he knew this. So silly as it may sound, I had to pretend I could see. Everyone on my staff knew, of course, but no others. Okay. Her staff knew, which means that her interpreter knew, which means that he still thinks that she's a witness despite knowing that she's blind. Keeping that in mind.
But this is a murder trial.
I apologize. That was part of my contract, you see. I was to keep my blindness secret, no matter what. Music is everything, and for me, I never imagined something like this would...
She told us the truth in the beginning. When she said she saw nothing. Very well. Does the defense have anything to add?
I'd like to cross-examine. But what is there left to ask? There was one thing in her testimony that bothered me. Perhaps it's best we let you get it out of your system. Someday you'll come to understand the importance of thinking for yourself.
Very well. The defense may proceed. However, be aware that this court will not tolerate any questions deemed too stressful to the witness.
Okay. There's only one part that bothered me. Just let me ask about that and I'll be happy. Okay, I think that was a warning that if I press something unnecessarily, I get penalized soon. That's what I have a problem with. When you say your staff, do you include Mr. Litthouse? Of course, he was my manager. So he knew, and that's what's been bugging me.
Something the matter, Mr. Justice?
I believe I know what is bothering our young defense attorney. You are thinking of when you discovered the body, yes? Is he right, Apollo?
Yes, I was. We're just going through this one.
Mr. Litthouse told me to ask the witness, and he named you. Why would he do that? He knew you were blind. I don't know. What did I just say? You need to learn to think for yourself. Meaning what? There's no mystery here, if you recall everything he said. Think of his last words once more.
The witness, Siren? We've heard them many times, along with a little play acting by our defense.
I remember them well myself, but that statement is not what I refer. I mean what he said before that. Before? What came before that? Ah! That's right, he tried to tell you. When he said can't see, he wasn't talking about himself. He was talking about the witness.
I see.
Too bad the defense did not. Well, hair forehead. Try relaxing and looking at the facts first next time. Ugh. But he still said ask her, right? Order. Recall Lemurer's earlier testimony. So on my way from the stage to the backstage exit, there were 2 shots. I couldn't do anything to stop her.
But she couldn't have heard those gunshots. I thought we proved that.
That's not the most important point here. The moment he was shot, Mr. Litthouse witnessed her through that window. Why else would he have named her as a witness? But I really did hear them. 2 gunshots and the man's voice. Unfortunately, such a thing was impossible. The window was closed. We've already run a simulation, of course. But it was so clear. If I heard that voice again, I would know it in an instant.
Your Honor!
What is it, bailiff? Can't you see we're in session here?
We have the results back from the investigation.
The investigation? On the Interpol number that Mr. Litthouse left us. Well, let's hear it. We will continue this cross-examination afterwards. Detective Crescent, your report, please.
All the shuffling of witnesses, oh my goodness.
I asked Interpol about that number. I'm sure you'll find their answer intriguing.
Quick work as always, Darien.
Well, tell us about the number. Is the defendant a secret agent?
IPXX314206.
The agent registered under this number was Romain Litthouse. What? Our undercover Interpol agent was Mr. Litthouse himself. He was apparently in the middle of an operation. So when he wrote those letters, he was trying to tell us his own identity. And a cautious killer tried to wipe them away. Mr. Litthouse was an undercover Interpol agent. So him being Lemroar's manager was just a cover, most likely. There's one other important detail I found. Oh, well, out with it. It concerns that .45 caliber revolver, the murder weapon. Apparently it belonged to Romain Litthouse. He had an Interpol permit to carry firearms. And the registration number on the revolver matched. So the victim was killed with his own weapon, which makes sense. It's hard to imagine someone who wasn't an Interpol agent with such a large revolver. So the victim was an Interpol agent on an undercover op. I wonder how that ties into everything. It's got to tie in somehow, you'd think. Yeah, somehow. Thanks for looking into that for us, Detective Crescent. It was a great help. Oh, no problem at all, Your Honor. I'll be heading out. Wait!
Lemroar, is something the matter?
That voice just now.
Darien?
Mr. Darien, is it? It was him, I'm sure of it.
It was him? You aren't saying...
And that voice I heard talking to Mr. Litthouse when I heard the gunshots fired. It was him. It was Mr. Darien.
Is this some kind of a joke? What? No way.
The courtroom fell into such a chaotic state, the trial had to be suspended temporarily. I'd never seen that happen before. Of course, it's not every day that you get an accusation like that one. Lemroar fingering Darien Crescent? Not only is he a guitarist, he's a detective. Could it really have been his voice that Lemroar heard? Things were changing fast, and frankly, I wasn't sure I could keep up with it. Hey, no wimping out now, Apollo!
Well, that's interesting. I wonder if we're gonna be, well, I guess it was, they said the court came out temporarily, but I wonder if we're into the investigation again next time. Because I don't know. So yeah, mysteries being solved and so, well, I say mysteries being solved, things being revealed, I guess is the better term. The fact that Machi is not blind, and instead he was leading Lemroar because she is the one who's blind. That whole thing with, like, can't see and the witness can't see, that's really cool, how, like, his last words were actually talking about her. But he still names her as the witness. She still claims that she heard those shots, and she heard the voice, which she claims was Darien's voice. And also we learned that he was an Interpol agent. So yeah. Lots of stuff happening. We still have the mystery of the fact that all of these things were happening to correlate with the music, with the song, which is also fun. I love this case. It's so fun. But yeah, it's a lot, and we are going to find out some more, dig into the mystery a little bit more and see what's going on with this new accusation that's popped up. And I will talk to you guys for all of that. Well, for, most of it. Not most of it. Some of it. There's still a lot of parts left of this game. I'll talk to you guys later.